in his CalCoastNews opinion piece about who ignored what has been happening in this county for the last few years. We started off, first of all, talking about Wade Horton, the head of the county. But Dan, as we come back to you, I want to be as fair as I possibly can to the folks at the Tribune. But I have to say that the editorial they issued on this, which was basically, where do we go from here, is, I'll be polite by saying it's the wrong question to ask. The question that should be asked is, how did this happen? But it's like the Tribune is just, oh, well, this is too bad, now we got to move forward. And just absolutely stunned by it, Dan. Absolutely stunned by that position.
I was too when I heard it read to me. I can't read. I was in the car. It was shocking for a moment, but then I remembered that it was the Tribune, and the Tribune basically has followed CalCoastNews' reporting over the years on a number of people. Anybody remember Kelly Gearhart? No. If CalCoastNews would write an article about a community figure who was corrupt and doing something obviously criminal, the Tribune would follow with a puff piece, making that person look good. And then you'd hear people say, oh yeah, CalCoastNews, you can't believe anything they say. That's been a pattern of theirs, almost since 2008. So I wasn't shocked by it, but I don't know if that's the right word, mendacity. It was, I don't know who could possibly sit there and write such trash. You're looking at a man that they backed Supervisor Adam Hill to the hills, and I guess they just can't admit that the man was a bum, he was a crook, and he backed people who made the Tribune probably financially survive over the last number of years. Helios has been their biggest advertiser. Helios, the drug fellow, has been their biggest advertiser, I think, probably over the years. And they wouldn't say a nasty word about him.
Well,
it was a remarkable.
Go ahead.
No, I just say it was a remarkable play. Yes.
Well, I was just going to, just to remind our listeners that there is supposedly that wall between advertising and editorial at a radio station, TV station, certainly at a newspaper. And again, trying to give the Tribune the benefit of the doubt. When you see day after day those large full-page ads from Helios Dayspring and his companies, you have to wonder, how could the editorial side not be influenced by that, Dan?
Well, yeah, absolutely. And I pointed out in the column that the proceeds of those ads, they were basically generated by a criminal ring, by crime syndicate, and the Tribune had to know this. They weren't stupid. They weren't any more stupid than the various supervisors trying to look at the marijuana regulations, and that was a mess. But that's a different story. The Tribune never reported on any of the marijuana issues, and there were many of them. And so they just, and that was the biggest story basically in the county. It was this huge economy that was doing all kinds of possible tax benefits, but it was also attracting certain criminal elements from both sides of our county. A number of issues involving things such as human trafficking, to put people in the marijuana fields to work, that CalCoastNews reported on and never repeated at the Tribune. So their editorial, as I say, it was pretty odd.
And New Times also, I think we should mention them because they also had ads for Helios Dayspring.
they practically thought Helios was a saint. I mean, it was, yeah, the whole thing was really ridiculous. I think they loved Helios because he was a pot purveyor, and I have nothing against pot, but he was a pot purveyor, and I suppose the New York Times, being, the local liberal piece, everybody has to be an advocate of marijuana, so I guess that, but I can't think of any other reason a reporter wouldn't look at this guy and say, there's something weird here. This man's handing out big chunks of cash to politicians, and then those politicians are voting for him. What the hell is going on? I shouldn't have said that, but, that's kind of a scenario.
Dan Blackburn on this broadcast. We'll welcome your phone calls after news at the bottom of the hour. And if people haven't seen the Tribune editorial, they asked the question, how do we move on from here? Which, again, I reemphasize, it's not the question we should be asking right now. But then they conclude by saying the solution is to encourage more people to run for office and to get more people involved in the political process. And okay. I don't know what to say.
All right, I have to continue another time. I get interrupted. Love life, life, love back. Bye-bye.